that me?
I think you're good.
Excellent. Good evening. The hour being after 6:45, it is my high honor and privilege to call the October 10th, 2024 School Committee meeting to order. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thank you all for coming. The beginning portion of all of our meetings is our recognition. It's our favorite portion of each school committee meeting, where we get members of our wider school community to come in and be recognized for their excellence. And for the Special Olympics of Massachusetts has announced that the Walpole Middle School, a school with Special Olympics Unified Certified School trademark programming, is receiving the National Banner recognition for its efforts to provide inclusive sports and activities for students with and without intellectual disabilities. Walpole Middle School is receiving this distinguished status as a result of meeting 10 national standards of excellence in the areas of inclusion, advocacy, and respect. These standards were developed by a national panel of leaders from Special Olympics and the educational community. Walpole Middle School is among only 19 schools in Massachusetts and among 202 schools nationwide to achieve this status for the 2023-2024 school year. Presenting tonight are coaches Nikki Bowden, Rader, Joe Beatty, and Chrissy Crawford, as well as students to be recognized who made this national banner recognition possible.
We also see Nancy Henry in the audience too, as well, being part of it. So if you want to come up, say a few words. I mean, what a great honor.
Mr. O'Leary is here as well.
Mr. O'Leary.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Dr. Goff, for inviting us, and all of you school committee for inviting us to come out for what we are very proud of, our National Banner School. So I brought with me, you had mentioned some of the coaches. Unfortunately, Mrs. Bowden-Rader was unable to come with us, but I was able to bring Yusuf Karani, Henry Fopiano, Benson Moore, and Charlotte Downs as our representative team. So the students did have something a little bit prepared, and we did have a video prepared. So if we'd like to show that, that would be great. Who's got number one?
Oh, are they doing this first? Do you want the video first, or do you want to?
Whatever you guys like.
Would you like to see the video first? Okay.
Excellent.
He says video first.
Can it be full screen?
Mary. Chrissy, is there sound?
It was music.
Okay, I think there's supposed to be sound. Can we just check?
Here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you. Come on down.
Team sports bring people together. The WMS Special Olympics Unified Sports Team does that too, and much more.
Program inspired by a simple principle: playing together as a quick path to friendship and understanding of differences.
The mission of the Special Olympics Unified Sports Program is to activate youth in an effort to develop school communities where all young people are agents of change, fostering respect, dignity, and advocacy for all.
Okay, the Unified Sports Program began at Bird Middle in 2019 and is going strong at Walpole Middle School. With a minimum of 6 seconds of play offered every year, it gives all participants the chance to feel welcome, valued, and included with their school and community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
so much for having us.
Thank you so much for coming, you gentlemen, and Charlotte. Questions or comments from our committee? Ms. Cyrek.
Sure, I just wanted to say welcome, congratulations. It's a great honor for all of us. My son, Wilson, when he was in high school, participated in unified track and once in a while unified basketball. So I know that he really enjoyed the opportunity to work with everyone as well.
That's
So,
wonderful.
Ms. Denizio.
I would love to invite the students, if you want to share with us what are your favorite unified activities or your favorite parts of being involved. You can do it from your chair. You don't have to get up.
What do you guys think? What's your favorite sport that we play?
Probably, definitely basketball.
Yeah,
Basketball, bocce, and cornhole.
Basketball,
Yeah, bocce is super fun.
That's what we're playing now. We have our first match on Tuesday
Yeah,
against Medfield.
Yeah, Medfield.
What about you, Henry?
Do you
What's
mind
your
if
favorite
I
sport?
do my favorite part?
Please.
My favorite part is being together with all my friends.
That's awesome.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
It's wonderful.
That's excellent. Well, you're wonderful representatives of the program. You spoke very eloquently about it, and it's so nice to hear what makes it special for you. So thank you for being here and sharing it with us.
Further questions or comments? Dr. Goff.
Yeah, thanks. This is just a phenomenal program, and it wouldn't be possible without the staff. Their dedication in doing this, because I know it takes many hands to be able to organize this and to pull it off. But now with the new middle school, of just having everybody under the same roof, it just must be awesome.
It is. We have the largest bocce group out of anybody in this part of the state. And they said, well, we really need to maybe cut it down. I said, absolutely not. These are, kids want to come, hey, we come. We won't say no to anybody. I mean, it's a wonderful program. And we have a terrific group of kids that work with us.
It's awesome.
Very good.
Yeah. Good luck against Medfield.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Probably gonna
much.
eat.
Well, we're very grateful to have you join us here today, but we don't want to let you go without, as politicians, all of us up here, we love photo ops, so please come on down, and if you want to, we got you on TV, but we'd love to get a picture of all of you, if you want to stand right here in the front, with your teachers.
You guys want me to take your cards?
Yeah, sure.
Here, take this and take this back.
Yeah, sweatshirts are great.
Maybe we should sit so we can see the folks behind you.
Oh, you don't need that. Nobody wants to see that. Oh, that's fine.
Let's sit.
Does Charlotte want to come?
Michelle, you want to come down?
Hold on, Mary, hold
Hold
on,
on, Mary,
Mary.
we gotta get Charlotte.
Charlotte's coming.
Minute, sure. I was gonna leave it up to you. Drop it. Yeah, I don't. Okay, thanks. We'll be quick. Yay. Ooh, celebrities. Just chip. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We'll look for the report about the Medfield bocce game. Good stuff. Moving on, we now have, please feel free to move on as much as I'm sure you may want to listen to our ELA update. We have other things to do.
Yeah, she gets lots of homework.
Thank you so much for coming. Our next order of business is our our high school update. Call upon our student representatives to give their report.
Good evening. My name is Victoria Beastie, and I am a junior at Walpole High School. This is Grace, and she is a sophomore. With Term 1 approaching the midway point, students are working diligently to prepare for progress reports that are releasing within this upcoming week. Tomorrow, students in 10th and 11th grade will take the PSATs. Those students will not have any classes tomorrow because it is an early release day. In addition, class of 2025 and 2026 are continuing to plan their futures after graduation. A variety of colleges visit during Wednesday interventions. On October 2nd, we had visits from Clemson University, UNH, UMaine, and 9 other great schools. EF tourist trips are becoming increasingly more popular at WHS. For this school year, we have 3 trips running to different places all over the world. Students are traveling to Rwanda, Argentina and Chile, and Sicily. During these trips, they will learn about the cultural and historical significance of the country and do different activities and service projects to get involved with local communities. Fall sports are nearing the end of a great season, with boys golf coming in 7th at the Bay State Championship and girls soccer and field hockey winning their most recent games. Overall, all of our teams have had a great record for the season. Winter sports registration is now open and closes on November 27th. Many clubs are starting to get settled in and elect their officials for this year. Stuco is planning their annual cornhole tournament to take place tomorrow after school and working on preparing for fall yard cleanup. Best Buddies had their first meeting October 7th, and the Community Service Club is working on finding volunteers for the upcoming Morgan's Message field hockey game. The Robotics Club is participating in the Mass STEM Teacher Fair on October 19th to provide helpful information on the benefits of STEM programs in schools. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments for our representatives? Seeing none, thank you so much. It seems like a lot going on as we go further into the school year. We appreciate your report.
Of course.
Please feel free to peel out when you need to. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to new business. Speaking of trips, we have an out-of-state field trip request, out of country, in fact, for the Walpole Middle School to go to Quebec City, Canada, from February 6th to February 8th, 2025. We have Val Lucas, fan favorite French teacher here, to once again request this.
Okay, so I apologize for not being here last time, but I'm here today, and I'm very excited. So we are considering going in on those dates, the 6th, 7th, and 8th of February. We usually go to Quebec during the Quebec Carnival. Their winter carnival is the largest winter carnival. Chandeliers and the bars and everything. The kids are encouraged to order their meals when we go to restaurants in French. We go to a couple of museums, and beforehand we learned about the culture of Quebec, and we have all our food units, and so we are looking to apply all that we learned in the classroom into the real world. And usually the kids are very, very ecstatic about going to Quebec for 3 days. They also miss school, so they love that. Although they do have to make up their work, so they generally do that voluntarily because it was so fun. We also do like a little something afterwards in terms of the classroom. We have a reflection on our trip, and usually it's very, very beneficial for the students. They are very motivated to do well, and so I think this is our 27th year that we would go. So we've done that trip for a while. So this year, the drawback after COVID is that all the prices have gone up. So the prices, we don't know exactly because we don't have the exact number of participants, but it's between $927 and $987. So to offset that cost, we have set up a couple of fundraisers. One is with Meadow Farms, and they sell chocolates and candles and Legos and all kinds of things like that. We also now have pushed our open house to the end of October. It's Monday, October 28th, and Tuesday, October 29th. We did 2 days because of the parking situation, and we are loving this, and we're gonna grab that opportunity to do a bake sale, and with whoever wants to participate. And one of my students asked if he could do a raffle with a raffle basket and all that, so I'm encouraging all that. And Bridget just emailed me about another fundraiser, which I'm gonna try to run as well. It's a popcorn fundraiser. It looks like it's a little bit more fundraising dividend for us as opposed to the Meadow Farm. Meadow Farm is about like 35 to 40% for the students, and the popcorn is about 50%. So that would probably be better for the students. And so we work with this new company, the original company that we ever went to got bought like a couple of times, but this new company is very technology oriented, like our new middle school. So all the registration is going to be done on their website. They have like deadlines of everything, and it looks, the itinerary looks really good, and they are very accommodated to everything that we are asking for. So that is our trip.
Thank you so
and
much.
I'm excited. Yeah.
This is a long-standing trip. We have 30-day requirement ahead of time. You're
Yeah.
well within that. Questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Green.
Motion to approve the Quebec trip.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Sarek. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? 400. Enjoy your trip.
We were just saying, we think every one of us, we've all been.
I know, I was thinking about that. It was just like, wow. I should-
You've been to.
earlier.
So it's a great.
None of us have gone. I'm just-
Good tradition.
Well, thank you. Enjoy your.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then usually I come back with students and their works and all that, so we'll be in
We'll
touch.
look forward to that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next order of new business is Planning for Success, the Walpole Public School District Plan.
Yes, thank
Dr.
you.
Goff.
So if you can hit the presentation. Thank you. All right, and we have two of our students who were heavily involved in this district plan, Dylan and Sarah, who I think some of you know very well, especially for those of you that were on the strategic plan, to really help us with this presentation. So as you know, if you look, it's 2024 to 2029. This is a 5-year district plan. So the district plan, or what we know as Planning for Success, is a model that was developed by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So the Plan for Success serves as a roadmap for ongoing improvement for a determined period of time. And this time it's 5 years, so it'll run, like I mentioned, through 2029. So the planning process includes 7 sessions of approximately 3 hours per planning session. And it took place over a 5-month period of time, and that was to ensure that we had the input from stakeholders and it was inclusive and comprehensive. Although protocols are typically similar for each school system, the sessions are adapted to address each school's district area of strength and areas of growth with a specific focus on student-centered perspective. After the plan's completed, the leadership team then develops and monitors the annual action plans to ensure that objectives and initiatives and intended outcomes are addressed and achieved. So as you can see here, this entire process, by the way, was facilitated by Dr. Ruth Gilbert Whitner. She has led multiple districts in this process. We were very fortunate to get her when we did, because she just fills up very fast. So as you can see here, there are 7 sessions. And the full planning team attends 4, and that consists of central administration, principals, educators, students, parents, community members, and school committee members. And I believe we had 3 school committee members on the team. So we really thank all of these people for their commitment and hard work. It was a lot of work and a lot of time well spent. So as you can see, you know, we've had these sessions that ran through from January, where we started envisioning our future, all the way to finishing and finalizing the objectives, initiatives, and outcomes. And then the leadership team, working with Dr. Gilbert Whitner, to be able to get the action plans developed, and then the leadership team continued to meet throughout the summer to finalize those for the year. So I'm going to turn it over a little bit to Sarah and Dylan to talk about the first piece, highlight the first piece, envisioning the future, because that was really important in terms of kicking it off.
Yes, like Dr. Goff said, the very first meeting, what we did is we took the planning group and we split it up into about 5 different groups, and each group had diverse perspectives. We had school committee members, we had principals, we had students, we had parents, but all of them were united by their want to improve Walpole. So to envision the future, what we did is each group had 2 large posters, one labeled 2024, one labeled 2029, and we really spent 2 hours just immersing ourselves in what we want the future of Walpole to look like. And we all just outlined our ideas for that. And then we had all 5 individual groups present their ideas for the future of Walpole, and we looked to see what the common themes that kept reoccurring were, to really know what is it that the community really keeps wanting to see change. Now, Dylan and I, of course, we're representing the student voice, and we can do a good job on the high school level, but one thing we really wanted to do is make sure that we represented our stakeholders at the elementary school level, so we emulated the planning process to some elementary school leaders, and Dylan could talk a little bit about that.
So Sarah and I, with the collaboration of all 4 of the elementary school principals, took this activity down to the Fisher Elementary School, where all 4 of the 5th grade student councils participated in the same activity that the main group did. And so the kind of thought process behind this, like Sarah said, is we're missing their voices, and they did a really good job of getting their own input in there.
So as Dylan and Sarah mentioned, you know, from this envisioning the future and through multiple sessions, that, and you'll see also in your handout, the 5-year strategic plan, district plan, is composed of 3 pillars. And those are teaching and learning, school and community, and then facilities and operations. That is followed by 4 strategic objectives, which you see up here, which we're going to get to in a second. And then each objective contains several strategic initiatives. And then the action plans come from the strategic initiatives. Those change over time, and we've already been actively working on these action plans. I'll be giving periodic updates of these action plans during my superintendent's report throughout the year. And you'll see how these action steps not only support the initiatives and the objectives, but how you'll be able to identify which pillar these action plans belong to. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hahn and Sarah, who will talk about the first pillar of teaching and learning.
So again, when we were talking about what we want 2029 to look like, one big thing that kept coming up was student engagement and teaching and learning. So this first objective is enhance student engagement through consistent student-centered instructional practices across all educational spaces from pre-K to 12. So as a student, what this looks like to me is creating a classroom environment that is engaging to students, that is centered on the student. Now, looking at my own personal experience, the first thing that comes to my mind is my literature classroom this year, because, of course, I love reading and writing, but one of the reasons it's actually my favorite class is as soon as we get in the classroom, we arrange the desks in a horseshoe way, because the entire class is just students immersing themselves, interacting with their learning, discussing. It's all about the students. Now, the first initiative is implement professional development and student-centered instructional practices for the Leadership Council that leverages both internal and external expertise. Next slide. The second initiative is develop and implement a professional development plan for all staff rooted in student-centered instructional practices that focuses on meeting all students where they are and supports their continued growth and achievement and prioritizes peer observations. And then the last initiative for this objective is ensure curriculum review processes prioritize student-centered instructional practices and provide educators with resources to support those practices. So we're really trying to broaden this objective to Walpole Public Schools, and Dr. Hahn will talk a little bit about what this looks like.
So as Dr. Goff started the presentation, because this is a 5-year plan, we wanted to share some of our action steps that will relate specifically to this year. So to support this strategic objective, and specifically the first initiative, we'll focus on developing and implementing professional development for the Leadership Council, specifically targeting student-centered and differentiated instruction. During this school year, we will dedicate time at Leadership Council sessions. We'll be spent engaging in targeted professional development on student-centered and differentiated instruction. We've already begun this process by conducting a needs assessment with the Leadership Council to identify key areas of focus. This will be followed by a comprehensive professional development plan designed to equip leadership with the tools and strategy needed to address the diverse needs of our students. The training will be ongoing with built-in opportunities for reflection, collaboration, and continuous adjustment. This ensures that our leaders are prepared to model and support differentiated instruction across all schools, ultimately fostering more personalized learning experiences for every student. Dr. Goff and I are excited by this initiative, and we've already started reviewing potential resources, included text by Carol Ann Tomlinson. For those who don't know, is a leading researcher in differentiated instruction for our schools and teachers. And with that, I'll turn it back to Sarah to review the second initiative.
So the second objective under teaching and learning is identify and cultivate practices throughout the community that empower all students to experience inclusive, personalized, differentiated educational experiences. So of course, this has an emphasis on making sure students are being met at where they are, each specific individual student. And when I think about this in my own personal life, I think of the interventions that we have at Walpole High School, because each teacher throughout the day can meet one-on-one, and also as NHS tutors we can do that with students to really tailor teaching to them so they can really understand material better in a way that's personalized for them. So again, this objective is about really giving teachers the resources to make this a priority across all Walpole Public Schools, and there are 4 initiatives under this objective. So first we have enhance, strengthen, and ensure consistency of multiple tiers of support enrichment, multi-tiered systems of support. And then we have identify and define the various models of inclusive practice to align resources and expectations to create optimal teaching and learning conditions. Support district leaders in the calibration of instructional and evaluative feedback, and strengthen opportunities like PLCs, team meeting, common planning, PD sessions for all educators to provide and receive feedback that supports teaching and learning. And now I'll turn it back to Dr. Hahn.
As Sarah mentioned, we have a robust model at all of our schools actually, and Sarah mentioned the one that's at the high school. Our plan and leadership council meetings this year will be to focus on identifying and defining key models at each of our schools to really make sure that they embody inclusive practice. Our goal is to ensure that resources and expectations are fully aligned to create optimal teaching and learning conditions across all schools. This process will include assessing our current practices, identifying the most effective inclusive models that's taking place at our schools, and developing a guiding internal document that clearly communicates essential principles of MTSS, or multi-tiered systems of support, for Walpole Public Schools. This document will serve as a framework to ensure a shared understanding of MTSS and its roles in fostering inclusive, student-centered learning across our district.
Turn it over to Dylan.
All right, so within the third pillar, which is school and community culture, we plan to establish, implement, and improve structures and opportunities to increase engagement, access, and belonging for all students, faculty, and families. And turn it over to Dr. Goff.
Sure. So for 3.1, when we're looking at that, exploring and improving practices that welcome families entering the Walpole Public School community, that's really vital for fostering a sense of belonging and partnership between families and schools. We know that a strong, inclusive connection with families enhances student success, it builds trust, and ensures that family needs are acknowledged and supported. For 3.2, in developing and implementing practices that build and support staff capacity is crucial for ensuring high-quality instruction and fostering continuous professional growth. By strengthening staff skills and expertise, the district can enhance student outcomes and create a culture of excellence and collaboration. Fostering collaboration between all stakeholders to strengthen community ties really will enhance the overall well-being of the district. This is actually one of our action steps under the strategic initiative, which has to do with district-wide core values, and you'll learn more about that at the next school meeting in my superintendent report. But I wanted Dylan to mention, why this is important to him and why he's excited about this particular initiative.
So now, in my own experience of having the ability to interact with administrative and faculty people or figures such as Dr. Goff and Dr. Hahn, as well as the rest of the faculty, has made me feel more interconnected and in touch with the community. All Walpole Public School communities belong to their own smaller groups, like sports teams, their schools, but we're all Walpole students, and we should all have the same opportunity to make change within the community.
And then finally, 3.4, to identify and implement practices to ensure all students have access to extracurricular and academic programming. This is also a current action step under this initiative, which is specifically our work this year on middle school programming. And Dylan's going to talk about why that's important and what he's working on.
So for the past 4 months or so, Ms. Ruggiero and I have been discussing ways to involve high school students with the middle school clubs in either leadership or supervisor roles. And this is really important to me because coming out of COVID, I, alongside the majority of students, felt really isolated. So when I came into high school, I turned to clubs. And I really just wanted to share that program with everyone, make sure that everyone has the opportunity and the access to participate in them in the way that I have.
Great. And now, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Frisha, the expert in facilities and operations.
Okay, so our strategic objective for number 4 is to create, implement, and communicate a master facilities plan that will provide the up-to-date infrastructure and space to support the educational needs of our current and future student population. So strategic initiative 4.1 is our first one, which is assessing existing facilities needs with a primary focus on pre-K through 5. So we spent a considerable amount of time in the past focusing on the secondary level of our schools, and we wanted to spend more time paying attention to the elementaries and now addressing some of their concerns. So that's where the focus will be. An assessment of each building's specific needs would allow Walpole Public Schools to create a pathway forward addressing the most pressing needs initially. A proposed capital request for 2 modular classrooms at the Boyden School is on the school department capital list tonight, which will be voted on. The initial request was $1 million, and the town administrator, capital committee, and FinCom supported the request funding for $950,000. Walpole High School, and in addition, there's a vote tonight to support the Walpole High School addition renovation project, which will be voted on in town meeting on October 21st. We obviously have some significant building projects that we're moving forward with. 4.2 is identify the programmatic safety and security needs of each facility as a component of the master plan. Each facility will be reviewed as part of a larger master plan study that will incorporate all of the school department's buildings. Particular attention will be spent on 3 previously mentioned areas to ensure that the buildings can meet the evolving needs of the modern curricula while ensuring the safety and security of all occupants. There was an access control project that was funded and recently completed at the beginning of the school year to better secure our buildings. So there's progress made on this objective as well. 4.3 is develop and communicate the master facilities plan with the community stakeholders. Walpole Schools has always elicited the support of the community in developing its strategic plan, and that strategy will need to continue. Effective communication of the master facilities plan and the funding required to support that plan must be a priority, and updates should be on a recurring basis. 4.4, develop a maintenance and replacement plan for technology and facilities. In addition to funding the additional of new and innovative technologies, Walpole Schools has has to have a plan to replace those same devices when they are at the end of their useful life. So we've introduced a lot of new technology in our new middle school. We will do the same in the high school, but we need a replacement plan for those devices going forward. And then as well, although some of our buildings are currently being replaced or renovated, they will need to keep up with the demands of an ever-evolving infrastructure and technology.
Thanks, Mike. So then if you look on page 3 of the district plan, there are outcomes, and those are the outcomes for 2029. So you'll see how those are when the teaching and learning, the school and community culture, and the facilities and operations. And they all start by June 30th, 2029. This is what, we envision and hope to accomplish. And then finally, going back to envisioning the future, which our students started out with, we create this theory of action, which is at the beginning of the plan. And that isn't an if-then statement. So you're taking all of your ifs, if you go ahead and implement these pillars, then this is what we hope, to have for our district. So it reads, if the Walpole Public Schools can enhance its student engagement through consistent student-centered instructional practices across all educational spaces, identify and cultivate practices through the community that empower all students to experience inclusive, personalized, differentiated educational experiences, that's your first pillar. If WPS establishes, implements, and improves structures and opportunities to increase engagement, access, and belonging, and if Walpole Public Schools creates, implement, and can communicate a master's facility plan that will provide the up-to-date infrastructure and space to support the educational needs of our current and future student population, then the district will create a more equitable, dynamic learning environment where every student is equipped to achieve their full potential, and the community will be positioned to thrive as it fosters a culture of continuous growth, inclusion, and excellence for all. So with that, I'll just turn it back over to our students. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add about your experience and why, you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed it, what it meant to you. The floor is yours if you have anything else to add.
So as like a prospective political science student, I'm really grateful for the opportunity I was given to participate in this. It's been extremely insightful on what it means to work efficiently and effectively on creating an action plan. And I'm sure that years down the line, I'll still look back on my time with Dr. Goff, Dr. Hahn, Principal Imbush, and the other members of the group with great admiration and appreciation for the skills that it's already provided me with.
Yeah, I think this is really such a unique opportunity for us students to really become involved in helping our community and become a resource for our peers to make change that they want to see. And on a personal level, similar to what Dylan was saying, it's just been really cool. I'm someone who's interested in policy to see the logistics of how this is made and just how much even one little word choice can just change the entire meaning of initiative. So seeing this final action plan has just been a really fantastic experience because you can see the careful precision used to craft each little sentence and how it really does represent what we were all saying as a part of the planning group in the very first meeting of the envisioning process.
Great.
Excellent.
So thank you. And
Thank
thank
you
you
very
for
much.
your participation in the process as well.
Excellent. Questions or comments to the committee? I'll begin. I want to thank you, Sarah and Dylan, for being part of this process. It's wonderful that you want to continue into policy after being part of a process like this, and I think it's a great example that the overarching goals that we have and the overarching mission that is created is done in small groups, in listening to folks. I think it's wonderful that you, of your own volition, thought, hey, we want to be representative of everyone here. Let's see if we can get into other spaces and hear other voices and elevate those. And I think that's the work of public policy, and it's done at night here like this, and often in unseen work like that. And I think that it is a great sort of foundational experience for you as you decide if you want to continue along that path. So I think it's a great on top of everything else you're doing, and you're as successful students that you took this on and were part of that project, so I really want to salute you there. As far as the document itself, I just, this is sort of a new format, and Desi, when we talk about policy, loves to change formats for things on us, loves to give us extra paper, additional work, additional hoops to go through. So I just have more of a, I obviously focus on facilities and the like, and I'm a procrastinator, so if you give me 5 years to achieve something, I will be working diligently on it in the fourth year. Obviously, a lot of as we just look at the outcomes, which is, again, what we are all evaluated against, and the district is evaluated against, we look at, just to use an example, facility and operations. Obviously, the fourth bullet is, hopefully the high school renovation will be complete. We're going to do a lot of work on that in the next month about getting that authorized. But could you just maybe unpack a little bit further how, in the past, we had more sort of rigid benchmarks and updates, and how we'll sort of see these projects in a regularized fashion be presented to us in their growth?
Good question. So with Dr. Gilbert Whitner, working with us, and, we had actually asked her the same questions, because we had this, massive things were highlighted. She said sometimes, you're just too many initiatives, things aren't getting done, they're put off and, go right down the road. This is something, because if you look at this document, she worked with us on these specific action plans that change year after year. You pick certain actions to be able to accomplish some of these initiatives. But they have to be doable, that they will be complete in the year. And she takes the LC through it, and that's something that I'll share with you next time, the very specific format and paperwork that we put together in order to go from how would we do this, what does evidence of early success look like, and she really holds us to task on that, and continues to be able to communicate and meet with us. And I remember when we had the action steps at first, she would send it back and say, you need to tweak this, and this is how you tweak it, and explaining it, and that's why we as a leadership met so much. So this is a plan that she says that's created, this district plan, that you can do, that you can enact. So for example, looking at the district-wide core values, I'll talk about how we're going to be able to accomplish that. The reason the school committee votes on the plan, she said, and not the specific, action steps, is because they change over time. For example, she worked with the district and COVID hit. So even though they may have the same pillars and the initiatives, the action steps had to change. And sometimes those can change throughout the year, and you don't keep coming back, but you do, like we always do, the overall arching plan, where you have those pillars, those objectives, and what are those initiatives to get you to where you want to be and where you're engaging to be in 2029.
Further questions or comments from the body? Ms. Sarek?
I just want to say I have been involved in many strategic plans over the last few years, and I really appreciated this process. You guys talked a lot about some of the collaborative work. I think having the more specific evidence of success and really looking at where we want to be in 2029 versus what can we accomplish this year, right? I feel like it was more short-term driven in the past. Even though it was a 5-year plan, we were really looking at what can we, chunk off. And this was really looking at a broader time horizon. And I thought the process that we went through at the very beginning was really helpful too, really getting everybody on the same page, but looking at it from different perspectives instead of starting in our small groups and looking at, one plan. I thought it was a great process, and I think the outcome is fantastic.
And sometimes action plans you might have to shift because it may be beyond our control, right? Like the modulars. We set it up, it's an action plan. We're hoping that, everything, town meeting, and then we can follow it through.
Further questions? Ms. Denizio?
First of all, Sarah and Dylan, thank you for being here to present tonight. I'll apologize for all the times we forced you to talk during the process on behalf of our planning groups. You definitely got the short straw most of the time, but it's because you're so good at it. and also because we're lazy. It was really nice. I always say that participating in the strategic planning process is one of my favorite parts of being on school committee, because it's one of the only chances that we have to authentically hear from all stakeholders, including yourselves as students. And I find it to be a really rewarding and enjoyable process. And I know that Dr. Whitner would say that she heard a lot more laughing in our session than most districts she works with. It was really inspiring to see how much of a shared vision there is for this district among all stakeholders. And like Kristen said, I really did enjoy the process very much. But I think, alluding to what Bill said a few minutes ago, it's a shift for sure from our previous plans in terms of the level of specificity that's here on these pages. And completely acknowledging and understanding that things change and there are circumstances beyond our control. I am curious about how the average, not just community member, but even a staff member who didn't participate in this process would know what we're talking about when we say, for example, on 2.2, the one about aligning resources and expectations for optimal inclusive teaching conditions. I know precisely what that conversation looked like because I was in the room. But I guess how would somebody who perhaps has a student on an IEP come to understand what we're talking about there? How are we ensuring that all of our special educators and all of our staff who work with special education students know what we mean by that? And same thing with 3.4, school and community culture, ensuring all students have access to extracurriculars and academic programs. We talked a lot in our planning sessions about addressing barriers to that, right? Like, we named them very specifically. We talked about financial hardship. We talked about language barriers. We talked about how to ensure that our recommendation processes are not unconsciously biased. And I know we're not going to spell every single thing out in this document, but I guess I'm hoping to hear that there will be a place that people can go to access the action plans or the specific steps that are going on, just so that there's more, so people know exactly what we're talking about here, because I do think that all of these objectives and initiatives correspond to really strong goals and really critical things that we want to work on. It's just not super clear if you're only looking at this particular document.
Yeah, and we can work with Dr. Gilbert Whitner on, looking at that and identify. I think through my updates too, of continuously stating, how does 3.4, what does that look like in practice, right? Mm-hmm. And for example, this year the focus is on middle school programming, and how does middle school programming, how are we ensuring that they have access to that? What are we doing? How are we increasing it? What does that look like in practice, right? What does, strengthen the community of the district? What does that look like? Well, that might look like, right now, the first step is creating these district-wide core values that the community can get around. Mm-hmm. So having me or Dr. Hahn or Mike, continuously explaining, at meetings like this, what it looks like in practice and how we're doing it, I think will be a really good method of communication. And again, we're communicating the action steps, really the doers is our leadership team, our principals, and they're communicating that at staff meeting with their staff.
Mm-hmm. Further questions or comments? I know as we talk about the way somebody yeah, I think, as we talked about before, as we used to do it, the updates were very regularized and formalized and diffused amongst your leadership team. So I think obviously we want to hear more about this frequently as we go through the process, and it's a great, I think it's a document that you point out, which is rooted in such great conversations and a living document too. We don't just set our course and then go forward for a 5 or a 6 or a 3-year period, and we've experienced that with some of these previous plans that were really great, especially pre-COVID, and that we pivoted on. So, Dr. Goff?
And I think, to your point, Bill, that, in the past, it's, like you said, one person will come, they'll give this update, and then that's it for almost the year. This is supposed to be designed to more frequent updates, and then as we're talking about the community, you'll say, oh, that fits under teaching and learning. Oh, that is a school, that is a community and culture. That's where this falls.
Okay. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the Walpole Public School District Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Syrick. All those in favor, opposed, abstained? 400. Thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
for coming out to
Thank you.
see us.
Thank you.
We all should go outside. Apparently, the northern lights are like exploding outside of our window as we speak.
Oh, great.
So, go enjoy that, and we will attend to business.
On that note, we will move to our English language education update. We have with us today Jill Kimball. Once again, this is your second or third? Third year with us. Excellent. Excited to hear your progress. Please take it away.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much. My goal for this evening is to keep my voice for at least the next 10 minutes or so, so hopefully we can get through that. But yes, I'm thrilled to be here to talk about our English language education program. It is my third year here in the district.
Oh, would you like me to do it? If you tell me next one.
Sure. Either way is fine. Okay. Thank you so much.
Just the right arrow. This way. Yep. Beautiful. Right arrow. Crazy pictures.
Okay, so we're looking here at our English language education and our former English language education program students by language. We have 25 languages in addition to English, represented by the students in both our ELE and FELE programs. The former English language education program are the students who exited the English language education program and are being monitored for 4 years after exit. And we monitor for 4 years according to Department of Education guidelines to ensure that students are having success once they leave the English language education program. After that 4-year monitoring period is through, they become students who are fully exited. Our fully exited students are not represented in the languages here in our ELE and FELE program, so we do have further languages in our district as well. As you can see, the major language in our program is Brazilian Portuguese, followed by Spanish. Then we have Arabic and Russian, equally represented, and our fifth largest is Nepali. And here are our program students by country. Again, the majority of our students, more than half, are born here in the United States. And then we have student populations from Brazil, El Salvador, India, and Russia, following out the top 5 countries of birth. So in looking at the past 3 years with our ELE program students, you can see that we are a little bit lower than we were last year in trends, and that's represented by the dark blue line bar graph there, the active ELE program students that we have, and this is pre-K through 12. But you can also see in that light blue section there, we also only entered 27 new program students this year compared to in the 40s for the past few years. So it follows the trend of having about 20 students less at this time. I will say in June of last year, we exited the school year with 172 students. So we do fluctuate in numbers throughout the school year. The orange line represents our former ELE program students. And then the blue represents our students who are on English language success plans. And those success plans are Department of Education plans for students who don't meet their English language benchmarks on the annual Access exam, which is an English language proficiency exam that all students take annually to see their English language development. Our students on success plans has gone up since last year. And so we're looking right now to address the students who are on the success plans to address their English language development. Some things that we're looking at this year are implementing collaboration time between our EML teachers, English for Multilingual Learner, and our SEI, Sheltered English Immersion teachers, so that there's more continuity between the programs and English language development throughout the student's whole entire day, not just while they're in the EML classroom. And all of our ML teachers have assigned collaboration time this year with SEI teachers. We also have a new curricular program this year to address some of the language development, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. And lastly, we do have additional staff at our elementary school. It's not additional staff, I should say, it's reallocated staff. With the merging of our middle schools, we were able to take one of our middle school teachers and add them to our elementary school instruction, and she is working now between 50% between two of our elementary schools that have our highest English language education population students. So we are looking at these improvements to address the students who are on success plans because they did not quite meet their benchmarks in language this past year. Okay, and looking at the dispersion of students in our ELE and FELE programs throughout the district, you can see that every school has students who are in the ELE program as well as former English learners. In the Walpole Middle School, you can see obviously that number of FELE students is quite high. The average to exit from the ELE program, if you start at a level 1, which is the beginning level of English, is 6 years. So those students who are starting with us in kindergarten and first grade are all exiting at the same time around Walpole Middle School, which is why that number tends to be a little bit higher. And again, we'll keep all of those students for 4 years with us and monitor their progress for 4 years. This shows where our program and proficiency levels lie. There was a state change this year in instructional minutes based upon levels, proficiency levels. Prior to this year, foundational level students were weighted levels 1 to a 2.4. The state has increased that to a 2.9. So anyone below a level 3 this year is required to have 90 minutes of ELE instruction, EML instruction per day. Anyone at 3.0 to 4.2, which is the exit criteria, is at 45 minutes per day. And again, it used to be anyone 2.5 and up was 45 minutes a day. So we really have taken a lot of students and added an extra class to their day. And again, in accordance with Department of Education guidelines. The gray represents the pre-K and K program that we have, which is different than our foundational and transitional instruction. And then we do have a few students in an alternate ELE program, and these are our students who are served by multiple programs, so they also have other learning needs. So they're the students who qualify for alternate examinations as well, such as alternate MCAS and alternate access. The program has 8 teachers and coordinator for instruction of English for multilingual learners, but we actually have 226 staff members in our program because we do have 218 teachers and administrators who are part of the ELE program. We do have more staff members, teachers who are endorsed than the 218. We just have 218 staff members at the current time who actively have a multilingual learner in their class, or they work directly with a multilingual learner, or they are an administrator in a building where there are multilingual learners. So as Mr. Buckley mentioned, the Department of Education does like to change things on us every once in a while and make some additions. So I won't read through the whole slide of changes, but we did have many program changes this year at the state level. And this just identifies many of the things that were changed, again, at the Department of Education level for this year for ELE program purposes. I'm happy to speak further on any of these areas, but more just the awareness right now of all the changes that did happen in ELE programming throughout the state. And then things that were added to ELE programming, again, at the state level, are noticed here, as well as a few items that were also clarified and emphasized in English language education guidance at the state level, so that they could be implemented throughout the state with the same effect. So moving on to our new curricular materials. We do have new curricular materials this year. Last year, we did not have similar curricular materials throughout the schools, and we did not have a vertically aligned program. So we are thrilled to have materials this year that are vertically aligned. The VISTA program is aligned to state standards as well as WIDA standards. We have multiple programs working for our foundational and our transitional students through VISTA. VISTA is also a company that only makes materials for language development. So that is their sole, they don't do math and science and social studies, they just work towards language development. So we have our Get Ready program. This is elementary and middle and high. The Get Ready, Sail, and Soar are for the elementary grades. Grades 1 through 3 are using paper versions, which aligns with WIDA programming as well and assessment as well. Grades 4 through 12 have digital accounts for the program. The middle and high school also have Get Ready. There's a 6-8 Get Ready and a 9-12 Get Ready. The Get Ready is really meant as a program to last for only about 6 months to 1 year for students who are very new to the English language. So this would be for our foundational program students. We then have programs for the elementary, the middle, and the high school level. All of the materials have been developed within the past 4 years, so they're all new materials. Connect is our grades K to 6 program. This is for transitional students, so students who are at 3.0 level or above. And you can see that with our program, we have a section that just is dedicated to reading and reading instruction. Then in every unit, there are connections to language forms and features, and then connections to the content area of the grade levels. So we have a Connect Grade 1, a Connect Grade 2, Connect Grade 3, so on and so forth. So you can see it connects to language arts, science, social studies, and mathematics. Again, to really connect the language development that happens in the EML classroom with the language development that's happening throughout the rest of the students' content day. And then there are connections to art, music, media, and writing. The middle school program is called Bridges. Again, they have our reading instruction, and the unit is all based on a mentor text or thematic reading. There are connections or bridges to grammar and conventions, as well as language arts, science, social studies, and math. And then they have activities to engage with technology, writing, and then media. And our high school program, which actually just came out this year, so this is the first year that anyone is using it, and we have been very pleased with it thus far. Again, engaging with a reading, a unit reading and the theme, connecting with media, grammar connections, the language forms and features, then connecting with the content areas, as well as engaging with pathways, extension activities, and writing. And our last update is on our ELE Summer Learning Program, which I am very thrilled because we grew our summer program a lot by last year. A lot, it's 18 students, but when you have a program of 140 to 150, that is a good increase. Last year, we had about 22 students in the summer ELE Summer Learning Program. This year, we hovered about 40 on any given week. There are 38 students represented here that consistently came all 3 weeks. And you can see the dispersion of, the schools that we had. We had students incoming grade 1 through incoming grade 9. And I was thrilled with the fact that we were also able to change a little bit from last year after learning lessons. Last year, we joined with the Walpole Public School Summer Learning Program, and we had our EML teachers provide English language development during the program that was already running. The problem with that is that students may be pulled from one activity that they were working on for English language development, and it wasn't as continuous between the two programs. So this year, we decided instead to run our program after the other program. Students would attend the morning session with the Walpole Public Schools Summer Learning Program, and then we would keep them for 2 extra hours dedicated to English language development by grade level or by grade level cluster, and it was very successful. Another change that we made this year, which I think gave us a lot of success, was providing transportation. Last year, we had a lot of parents tell us that what kept them from signing up for the program was the fact that they didn't have transportation to the program. And so this year, we were able to actually provide 2 vanfuls to the program, and I do think that if we were able to have additional vans and drivers, that we would have actually had more students come to the program. So that was actually very exciting to see. And I have one invitation just to share with everyone. Our ML PAC is having a multilingual learner family meet and greet dinner. This will be at Walpole Middle School in the cafeteria, Wednesday, October 23rd at 6 o'clock. We will provide pizza and salad, but please bring a favorite food item from your family. More than welcome. Just please label that item with, due to food allergies, with an ingredients list. And we're really hoping to connect with the families in our multilingual learner program, allow them to meet the staff in the ELE department, as well as other multilingual learner families in our Walpole community. And we would really like to welcome anyone to consider joining ML PAC as a parent or guardian to really contribute to the direction of the English language education program here in Walpole Public Schools. So that is another angle there that we would hope you would consider joining our ML PAC as well as we move forward. We do not have the ML PAC dates set yet for this year because we're hoping to elect new co-chairs, and then we're hoping to work with their schedule as to when it works best for them for those dates. So we hope to see everyone there. And thank you very much for having me today. I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate sharing information about our program, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'd just like to add one piece to the presentation that I knew Mrs. Kimball would not, that I'm going to for the sake of our community. She mentioned the growth of our ML summer learning program, and she mentioned transportation. What she didn't mention was the reason why we were able to provide transportation is because Mrs. Kimball went out and actually got her 7D license, and she drove the 2 van loads of kids. We are very fortunate to work with incredible educators here in Walpole and teachers and coaches that go above and beyond all the time, but I did not want her to end her presentation without taking some pause to recognize that you most definitely went above and beyond for the sake of your kids, and as a result, we almost doubled our summer program in learning and success. And so I knew you wouldn't mention it, but I think it's important that tonight it is mentioned that you provided the transportation for our students. You sought out the licensure because you care so deeply about our program and all the kids here in Walpole. So I just want to make sure I added that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Strong work, Ms. Kimball. We appreciate it. Questions or comments from the committee? Mr. Breen?
So I have some experience with this. I had 3 students last year from Ukraine, and their spoken English was pretty good for one of them, passing for 2 of them, but academically they were pretty stressed out as the year went on. And just seeing them this year, again, these are bright kids. They're kind of cruising through the school part. Like literally, they've made that much progress in reading and writing English, not just speaking. That's the hard part, right? The reading and the writing. And we also picked up at King Philip 5 students last year, I think 4 from Haiti, 1 from Suriname. And I don't really interact with those kids that much, but I see them around a lot, and they're in the hallways speaking English, right? And they're sort of immersing themselves in it. So these things work.
Yeah, thank you. It is amazing to see how the students grow in their English language development as they continue through the year.
Thanks. Ms. Anita?
It seems as though the English learner population in Walpole just sort of exploded, several years ago. Not to say that we haven't always had those students with us, but it just seems as though it's been a period of tremendous transition for our district to have so many students representing so many different linguistic backgrounds, and to actually have so many dedicated staff working with them. And I am just eternally grateful that you have been at the helm through this period to support all of those students and all of those staff, because I think you are working wonders every day. I could cry knowing that you got your van driver's license to drive them. That's just so incredible. So just, I want to express our gratitude. And I know that in the strategic plan, in the district plan that we just looked at, that there's a lot of work for you and your staff embedded in there. And I'm so excited to see what comes of it, and we want to support it in any way that we can. And I will be there on the 23rd.
Thank you, appreciate that. Wonderful, wonderful, that's great, and thank you very much. I'm actually looking forward to doing that work with the strategic plan. I do care very deeply about the program, I believe in the program, and I do, love what I do in working with the students and the faculty every day. Just to see the heights that we can get to is great.
Strong word.
She was our SEI instructor too, administrators,
Yeah.
many moons ago.
It was, I believe, I taught about 8 administrators in the district, the SEI course, moons ago.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much. I always, when you come in, I, for some reason, happen to run into a friend of one of my parents every time around the time you come and join us, who came here from Italy, and she always talks about the lack of support she got 50, 60 years ago at the Plimpton School, where you're just sort of dropped in, and every time it's so weird that every time it's about the time to hear from you, I get reminded of that juxtaposition of how much we give those students with those, what leg up we give them now, and how much we've talked about this forever, the early intervention of services that allows them to succeed and thrive, and it's just such a, I think, a wonderful thing. And as we look at those graphs, the number of students who can get the tools that they need to be off to the races, and I think each year we see another cohort of students who are just off to the races for success, and I think that's a great thing. Perhaps in the future we'll, as this program continues under your tutelage, we may hear from some of them as they get into the higher grades, perhaps, and they can share with us their perspectives on how this program has benefited them. But it's clearly working, and we thank you for your dedication. And
Thank you.
great evening. We'll stop you from talking now, so you don't lose your voice.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, don't walk up for that. Moving through new business, we have vote on town meeting articles. We have 3 town meeting articles this evening to consider. The standard practice was to vote right before town meeting, but town meeting's a little later, and there are a number of scheduling issues, so we had this meeting here today, and everything is sort of in the can, ready to go. There's 3 articles, Article 3, Article 9, and Article 12. Article 3 is the annual article where we transfer, and it is sort of a standard business procedure for us, but it's not for every district, and some districts have to duke it out with the town side for their Medicaid reimbursement, so we're grateful that that's the baseline. As well, Article 9 is our capital article. As we've talked about at previous meetings, we have $950,000 that will be allocated to what we call the modular classrooms at the Boyden School to help with spacing needs there. And Article 12, as we've talked about ad nauseum, is our Walpole High School renovation item. So we'll be speaking about all 3 in about 2 weeks' time at the town meeting, but we would like a final vote. The chair will entertain a motion to approve town meeting Article 3, 9, and 12.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Denizio. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 400. Excellent. We move on with a grant update. FY25. Assistant Superintendent Fisher.
So in your packet, I've included a listing. We started doing this last year to keep the school committee members apprised of our grant funding related to our district funding overall. So the first page is non-COVID grants. You'll see some of the title grants, which are federal grants. And then on the right side, you'll see, are they competitive, are they entitlement grants, and who is behind it, sponsors it, supports it. The thing I would say about grant funding is that it's non-appropriated dollars. So this is not taxpayer funding. It's either the federal government, state government. In a lot of cases, it's federal government passing through the states. When I allocate or keep track of our salaries and expenses, I separate out the grants because they're funded in a different manner. and that's critical to maintaining the proper balances in grants as well as our operating budget. Some of the grants, as you know, are one-time, and some are recurring. One of the things that we did with the robust COVID funding was we made sure that we did not count on COVID funding to support our district. Because once that funding runs out, that was one-time funding, then you were left to either support it through your operating budget or lay off staff. And that was something we did not do because we never allocated or utilized COVID funding for personnel. So the first page is non-COVID grants. The second page is also non-COVID grants. Most of the ones with title in their names are the federal grants. And then on the final page, that comes to the third page, which has the total for the non-COVID grants and the carryover. So we are permitted to, when properly identifying funds, to carry over some funding. And in some cases, in Grant 240 in particular, we have to carry over a significant amount because you're not allowed to pay for grant-funded personnel before your grant is approved, and they don't generally approve them until October. So we have to carry over those funds to make sure that we have funding available to pay our staff that are grant-funded. And then on the final page, sadly, our COVID funding is coming to an end, and ESSER 3, which you'll see about halfway down the page, was the final allocation of significant funding for COVID. It was $945,168. We just exhausted those funds, and so there is no more of the traditional COVID funding. There is a piece of what we call earmark funding, which I think, Bill, you would probably know came through the county. Mm-hmm. And there is it started as $350,000. We used some of that funding to put HVAC in the high school. That's where that funding source was. And there's a balance of $129,000 that we can still utilize for doing additional HVAC funding, because that's what the grant was earmarked for. And then we have one other chronic absenteeism allocation of $10,000. One of our staff members has paid that stipend to follow up and report on excessive absenteeism and try to remediate as much as possible that absenteeism. The two grants on the bottom are school meal grant and food security infrastructure grant. The 327 is one that Maria wrote, a very large grant, and then the school meal grant was a smaller one that both have been exhausted at this point. So that's kind of a high level of our grants. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I would credit Bill Hahn does a lot of the day-to-day with Jody Delpha in my office, and Bill coordinate, spend a lot of time on these grants, whether small or large. Sometimes the work is the same, right, because the reporting is the same. And we are audited on these grants extensively, and we have to have sound rationale for why we spend our money the way we do. And if we violate that or somehow go against the purpose of the grant, then we have an audit finding that we have to remedy. But we've done really well. I think, Bill, you had a clean bill of health on the grants last.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, which is incredible. So I think we're doing a really good job and hope to continue that.
Well, thank you very much. Just an observation, a question, and a comment. One, I think, I was saying this all night, but it really bears repeating when you look at the ESSER money. So many of our neighbors, Norwood, Holliston, Millis, Franklin, had serious problems to their operating budget because of the way they managed the ESSER grants. And we were, I think, through your leadership, were very careful in what we did. We treated it as one-time money because it was one-time money, and we didn't have the sort of staffing crises that a lot of the school districts around us did, and I think that's very admirable, especially in this climate. Second, I'd love to take county credit for the economic development earmark, but it was a state earmark of $350. And then third, just on that note, so with the 129, would we just kind of apply that to our maybe our ongoing ductless split project and just kind of get more class from some of that? That's
Exactly
awesome.
that. Yep.
Cool. Other questions or comments on grants?
Just wanted to make one comment.
Dr. Goff?
Yeah, just read it. It's an enormous undertaking when you see all of these grants. So like kudos to Mike and Bill and Dr. Quealy in terms of the special ed and Jody Delpha. And if you notice on this, there's, I think, about 5 competitive grants that staff members, they see it, we talk it over, we think that, we're eligible, we can go for it, we've got a good shot at getting it. I think that's probably over $300,000 there. And getting it is, the fun part, and then it's getting all that backup work that goes along with it, to be able to make sure that we account for every penny, and we should. But it's just, I don't want people to underestimate, it's a monstrous task, and, job well done.
And you said we passed the single audit with flying colors yet again?
We did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Last year, their 6 years.
That's another huge amount of paperwork to produce. Excellent. Moving on, Superintendent's Report.
Yes, I have a few things. In your packet, the October 1 enrollment, so you can see the total enrollment in your packet is 3,635. We still have more students coming in, but this is the October 1. And then, we keep this as is because that's where we're at Chapter 70. But I think, right, Mary, we just had 3 students and 2 or 3 students enroll yesterday. So students are still coming in. Also in your packet are it's the Walpole Public School Improvement Plan. Everything, we've done this for, I think, 2 years now. Everything is in one document, so there's consistency in terms of expectation and formatting across all the schools. Dr. Ann Veracruz was the one who designed the template, so I need to give her credit. I really want to thank the teachers, the parents, the principals, and the community members who dedicate their time on these school councils and do the work to put their individual school improvement plans together. 2 things on this. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to email me. I'll get those questions to the principals or the school councils. I also want to note that since these plans were developed in the spring by the school councils, you'll see that it aligns with the goals of the old strategic plan. Now that the new plan has been adopted, moving forward, the school improvement plan will align with these pillars and the strategic objectives of our 5-year plan. So another way that we'll be able to communicate that, of what those initiatives will look like in making sure that we are streamlined. I also included a couple other items that I brought down for your packets. One is the Tech Board of Director quarterly update. So that has just some highlights of their enrollment numbers and the Education Collaborative, the move to the Old Johnson Middle School. They added, I believe, an elementary behavior program for elementary students. And then the Board of Directors for Tech approved both King Philip and Sharon School Districts to join as Tech members. Also, in your packet, last week, I attended the Norfolk County Programming Meeting with the Walpole Police Department, the Fire Department, Melissa, our Health Director, the Public Health Nurse, Trish Fisher, and then our Walpole Public School Nurse Leader, Linda Anderson. There was fantastic information about all the various programs and training through the Norfolk DA's office. I just wanted to bring your attention to one specific program, and that's the handout of this peer leadership program. Walpole High School does have a group of students who are involved in this program, and it's led by Linda Anderson and Officer Hart. They not only attend the meetings, but they'll be out in the community to do these community activities. And then upon completion of the peer leadership program, they have a conference in April at Gillette. I'd like to bring them to school committee so they can provide information and share their experience with that. This is official. The Walpole High School's second-year student superintendent cabinet has been formed. I informed members of students this week. All grades are represented, which is fantastic, including our returning students, and our first meeting will be October 23rd. And I'm really excited to collaborate with them as they voice their ideas and work to improve our schools and their districts and to develop their leadership capacity. MCAS results are were released. We're in the process, they're in the envelopes, and they're going to be mailed out shortly. And Dr. Hahn will be giving a presentation, MCAS presentation, next month. Quick reminder, Fails Leave Scholarship, we'll say that all the time, because the deadline is October 31st. That'll be also in my some more. And just some upcoming dates, early release day is tomorrow. There's no school on Monday, offices are closed. We're going to have another walk with the superintendents on Friday, October 18th at 8:45, and we have town meeting on October 21st. And finally, I just want to say that October is National Principals Month, and it's really a time for us to celebrate and honor our principals for their leadership and their dedication to their students and the communities they serve.
Excellent. Questions or comments, Dr. Goff? Seeing none, thank you for the comprehensive report. Moving into old business, middle school building project. Mr. Breen.
So we had the ribbon cutting on the 30th. Parking lot's coming along.
Nice.
Starting to put down topsoil to eventually seed it, so we're getting there.
Questions or comments for Mr. Breen? Seeing none, high school project update. We had a very successful walkthrough of the high school yesterday with about 35 to 40 town meeting members. A lot of great questions. Folks were able to kind of wander around the areas we're going to renovate. The consultants had big boards that you could, with a QR code, open an app on your phone and sort of look through your phone to see what it would look like. So people seem to love that. And nobody knocked over any of the instruments in the music room, which was nice too. Didn't break any cellos. We came a little close, and then we sort of explored other parts of the high school as well that are not being worked on, but it was good for folks, especially those who did not have a chance to go there, who come in for town meeting and just go directly to the auditorium to get a real sense of the age of the building, how it has sort of different eras to it and different additions. And I think it was very positive. It was about an hour and a half. We got a lot of questions answered. People are excited for the public hearing on the 17th with the Finance Committee. And then we're on to town meeting on the 21st.
I thought Principal Imbush did a
tremendous job.
fantastic job. Just really explaining it. You know, he knows his building. He's been there for many years. And just to really show that when you're moving one piece, what replaces it and why that's important, which opens up another space for something else. And he did a really great job explaining that to everybody in the media and then showing them and then bringing them back to have those questions. So I really want to thank him for a fantastic job.
Excellent.
Just want
Me too.
to remind folks to hear you that at our September 26th meeting, we did a presentation that was recorded by Walpole Media, so if anybody wants to go back and see that on the Walpole Media channel, it's available for viewing. There is also a very comprehensive frequently asked questions document that explains the who, what, where, when, why, how of this entire project, and so we would encourage people to look at that too if they want more specifics on the project. And yeah.
Excellent. I think that covers it. Subcommittee activity, anybody meet since last time? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve accounts payable warrants 225013 and 225014 for the amount listed in your packets.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Nietzsche, second by Ms. Sarek. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 400. Chair will entertain a motion to approve expense warrants number 225013 and 225014 for the amounts as listed in your packet.
Second.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ms. Denizio, seconded by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained. This is supposed to go faster. Chair will entertain a motion to approve gifts in the amount of $708 from Bay State Textiles to Boyd and Post Road and Walpole Middle, and a generous $200 donation to the Falker Gift Fund for Walpole High School.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sarek, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 400. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the September 26, 2024 school committee meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sarek, second by Ms. Denizio. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained. There's no need for executive session tonight. Mr. Breen.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 400. Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you.